Hello Stampers, Kelly Acheson at stampabove.com coming to you from Menasha, Wisconsin. Today I'm going to show you this beautiful card that I made for the Color Fusers blog hop. I am new to this blog hop, and what they do is each month our fearless leader picks out colors that we have to use in creating our cards. So this is like a challenge. This month the colors are Rich Razzleberry, Pear Pizzazz, Crushed Curry, and Garden Green. So part of the challenge is that you have to use all the colors in your creations. And then there's some other things, like we can use our neutral line, we can use gold and silver and maybe copper, but we have to use these colors. So it's a matter of what you can come up with to combine the colors into your project. And I love a challenge. So I'm going to show you how to make this pretty card. Let's get started. The first thing I like to do is bring in my cardstock layers. So I've got a card base that is 4 1/4 by 11, and I've scored it at 5 1/2. And I'm just going to fold that in half and burnish it with my bone folder. This is Rich Razzleberry. Then I've got another piece of Rich Razzleberry that is 4 by 5 1/4. A piece of white that's the same size, 4 by 5 1/4, and then a scrap of white. And then I wanted to show you this gorgeous Petal Passion Designer Series paper. We are going to be using this to achieve the challenge of using all 4 of those colors on a card. So I have cut a piece of this top layer of paper. This is 4 by 5 1/4 also. What I decided to do for my challenge was to color this paper in, color all these pretty flowers. And I thought, well, how am I going to do that when I've got so many different flowers and only a couple bright colors? Because to me, flowers are always bright colors, right? Oops, let me get this. So when I'm opening my ink pot, I'm leaving it open just a little bit and I'm squeezing it to get that ink in the lid. That's how I'm going to use my aqua painter. And here's what I chose to do. I decided that my bigger flowers were going to be Rich Razzleberry. And these little spiky ones, I'm just going to come in and color with a deep Rich Razzleberry. So I want to make sure that this is really intense. I love aqua painters. You get 2 of these in a set. You get a smaller end like this one, and then you get a bigger tip end. These pens are amazing, and they, until our Stampin' Blends came out, it's my main source of coloring is with these aqua painters because they're fabulous. You can do a whole bunch of different techniques with them. Like you can put bleach in the barrel of this and use that. That's a really fun technique. And it's crazy the colors you get when you like use bleach on black. You'll get a mustard color. It bleaches out to a mustard color because that's kind of the pigments that are in the black paper. So it's always going to look a little different. Now, if you wanted to make some of these flowers a little lighter, you could by just not using as much ink. You can kind of, here I'll just kind of push some water out there, and you see how my ink is getting a lot lighter. And I'm going to use that right here on this little flower. And maybe this little flower. It's much lighter than this one, right? Then to clean your aqua painter, you can simply run it back and forth on your scrap paper until you don't see that color anymore. And now I'm going to go get some of the crushed curry and come in here and do these little flowers in crushed curry. So I'm going to color those in quick. I'll speed up my video so you don't have to just sit and watch me color. Then I'm just going to come in with the garden green and do just a little bit of shading. And that just kind of adds a little bit of an artistic touch to what I've done. And it's so easy with an aqua painter. You do not have to be an artist to do this. You're just going to go around and kind of touch the edges with a darker color, whoops, of green. Isn't that pretty? I think I'm going to color this little flower right over here. These I'm going to leave white. I decided those would be really pretty white. And I think I'm just going to dilute this a little bit more and make this flower right here just a lighter color of pink. I think we're done. Okay. Let's continue on with our card. So once I got this made, then I decided I could just cut this in half. And I know that my cardstock is 4 inches wide, so I'm going to cut it at 2 inches. And now I've got a 2 by 5 1/4 and a 2 by 5 1/4. I'm going to bring in the triple banner punch. And I'm just going to, I think I'm going to punch off this end, slide that in there, and make this a banner. I've got the basket weave folder here for the layer that I'm going to put on the front of my card. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, let me grab a spritzer. I've got a Stampin' spritzer here, and if you spray your cardstock before you run it through these really thick dynamic folders, I have heard that it makes all the difference in the world on how deeply this impresses, because it kind of weakens your cardstock. Let me run this through the Big Shot. I'll be right back. And I also wanted to tell you, when you run these really thick dynamic embossing folders through your Big Shot, you're going to use your platform. So you've got your Big Shot platform, the folder with your cardstock in it, and only 1 cutting plate on top. That's the stacking order. Sometimes I forget that, but it won't go through your Big Shot if you do it wrong. Look at how detailed that is. Oh my gosh. You know, I haven't done this in ages, but look at the difference in the detail there. It really does make a difference. So I'm going to let this dry for just a second while I get some other elements. Whoops. Some other elements of my card ready. I've got our crumb cake baker's twine, and of course this is going to work perfectly because I put crumb cake in my flowers here, and I'm just going to wrap that around 3 times here and tie that in a bow. So let's see how good I can do with this bow, right? It's a lot of pressure tying a bow while you're videotaping. Don't worry, I think I'm going to get it. Ew, pretty good. All right. And this really kind of makes that crushed curry color pop, doesn't it? You know. There we go. That's perfect. Okay, I am going to take my liquid glue. I always like to use liquid glue or fast fuse when I use an embossing folder. To attach that to the front of my card, because when you emboss paper, it breaks down the fibers and it kind of warps it a little bit, and I don't want my layer to be sticking up looking all goofy and funny. So liquid glue or fast fuse. Oh my gosh, this is just really did make a huge difference on how much that is impressed into the paper. Then I'm going to take some liquid glue and add that to my banner. Put that right over here in the corner. This is a really quick and easy card. You could sit down in front of the TV and color up a whole 12 by 12 sheet of this printed paper and then cut it apart and make a whole bunch of cards. I think that would be really fun, wouldn't it? And then we've got this scrap. Oops, excuse me. Hang on, there we go. I chose to use, the paper goes along with the whole suite of the petal palette. This is 2, it's got so many stamps in it, you get 2 cases. There's 15 different stamps in here. but I chose the From the Heart on here. And then we do have a set of matching framelits. And there's just some really, really beautiful elements in here. If you guys watched my Facebook Live, you know that I used this for one of the cards that I made. It was just fabulous. I'm going to use this element for the greeting. I'm going to run this through the Big Shot and I'll be right back. I'm using Rich Razzleberry for my greeting. And I'm just going to stamp that right on this layer. Ooh, that turned out great. I was a little skeptical of that. Hang on, I just got ink all over my fingers. You know the hazards of stamping. There we go. Don't want to get that on my card because I'm almost done with it, and that's when that usually happens, doesn't it? I'm going to bring out some of my mini dimensionals. If you guys haven't gotten your hands on some of these yet, they are super great. You do not have to cut dimensionals down for smaller things that you're doing. Absolutely love them. And I think you get something like 700 of them in a pack. And here comes our greeting. I like how that white really pops on here. And then I felt like I needed one more thing, and that's where the enamel shapes came in for me. I just wanted one little embellishment. These are the Brights. And of course, Rich Razzleberry is a part of the Brights family group. Look at all of these. You get dots in 2 different sizes, hearts and stars. And I am going to use a heart here because I thought it seemed fitting when my greeting says From the Heart. Isn't that just the perfect little embellishment? I love that. Okay, one more thing. I'm going to bring my piercing mat back in here, and I just wanted a little decoration on the inside. I like the greeting on the front that just says From the Heart because I can use this for anything. If I need a Get Well card, I can at some point find a Get Well greeting and stamp that in here. Or if I just need an all occasion card to send a note to a friend, this is perfect because From the Heart, that goes with everything, doesn't it? And we are just about done here. There we go. How pretty is that? Love it. Okay, so what am I going to do with this piece that's left over? Well, I thought about that, and that's when I decided that I would use this on a layer like this on a card. Let me show you what I came up with. Isn't this pretty? This is a crushed curry background. I ran it through this embossing folder, and I can't remember the name of this right off the top of my head, but it comes with another embossing folder. Let me show you that because I think I know where it is. It comes with this embossing folder, so you get both of these in a pack, and I'll put the name up on the screen. These are so very, very pretty. So I ran that through with the flower embossing folder. I stamped the Life is So Much Better with You in it. And again, this is a great all occasions greeting. I can send this to just about anybody in my life. I used the Stitch Shapes framelits to stamp this on. I put the little flower from the Petal Palette stamp set on here with Rich Razzleberry. And then I used a ribbon border punch. This punch makes a border of ribbon that way. And instead of using the loop-de-loop-de side of it, I use the tiny little scallop side and just let that peek out a little bit behind my designer series paper. And then some black metallic thread back there. I just felt like it needed a little something. And then we've got some flowers in here. So 2 great cards made out of one 4x5¼ inch piece of the designer paper. And again, I think it'd be fun to sit down and color this whole 12x12 sheet of this designer paper and just cut it up and make a ton of cards. That would be awesome. Again, thank you for joining me for my video today. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to earn your business. You can pop me an email at kelly@astampabove.com. I'd be happy to send you our current catalogs. Don't forget to click on subscribe down here in the bottom right corner. You don't want to miss anything I have coming out in the future. I have a Facebook Live every Sunday evening at 6 p.m. on my Facebook page, which is called A Stamp Above Your Creative Coach. You can do a little search for that and join me for a Facebook Live. Click right up here and you'll go to my blog where you'll find a whole bunch of other creations that I've made. Hope you guys have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.